Before we talk about medication timing, there are a few things that you can do to be sure you get the most out of each dose. Remind the resident to take each dose with a glass of water to aid in its absorption. Avoid breaking, crushing, or chewing controlled release versions of the medication, and don't just double one up if one gets missed. So, why are we out sending the message about timing? Well, getting it on time is important because the uneven release of dopamine means that a person with Parkinson's may notice a big change in their condition and may suddenly not be able to move. They could also suffer from some extremely severe complications, and there will be complications for staff as well. In the advanced stages, a person with Parkinson's is extremely sensitive to a change in their medication routine. Because the symptoms first appeared when only 20% of normal dopamine levels remained in the brain, some years after having developed this progressive condition, very little naturally occurring dopamine is left. They're highly reliant on their medications, and getting the most out of each dose is essential. If medication isn't taken on time, the balance of chemicals in the brain can be severely disrupted, and the symptoms become uncontrolled. Once a medication routine is disrupted, it might take hours, days, or even weeks for a person's Parkinson's to stabilize. And to that point, we're going to hear from Lorne.
My name is Lorne Collis. I'm 61 years old. I've had Parkinson's for about 6 years. This was about 2 years ago. I ended up in the hospital with an ailment unrelated to my Parkinson's. And I went 3 days with no meds whatsoever. And then I started on my Parkinson's meds. I was in the hospital for about 8 days. And at first there's a little bit of resistance from the nursing staff because, again, my schedule of meds doesn't correspond with their schedule of meds. But when I came home, it took me probably 2 to 3 months, maybe even longer, for my body to get back into a comfort state.
People with Parkinson's are constantly trying to find the right amount of dopamine in the brain in an attempt to alleviate symptoms and reduce side effects. What we're trying to do is find the right balance. We're trying to keep people at the line of optimal dopamine levels. If we wait too long to give medication, or we're not giving it at a time when the body anticipates it, then the person with Parkinson's will dip below that line. Intervention with medication provides additional dopamine and can move people back up towards or above the line. The longer that we go between doses, or the farther that someone falls below that line, the harder it is to regulate them and for them to achieve proper health outcomes. When someone is in this dip area, they are more susceptible to complications and they will require a higher level of care. Keeping people at the optimum dopamine level means that they are receiving higher quality of care and you're seeing improved health outcomes in the patient, and their activities of daily living are much more independent. What this chart also illustrates is that there's a continuum of not being able to move to being able to move too much. People with Parkinson's are always seeking this balance, and proper medication timing helps achieve that. In a facility, giving medications at individually prescribed times can be cumbersome. I know that it might not coincide with present rounds and that it may cause some difficulty, but I also know that it can ease the burden for everyone. If medication isn't given on time, staff will probably have to provide a higher level of care. However, if medications are given at the proper prescribed times, you should find that the person with Parkinson's generally requires less help with activities of daily living. Completing daily tasks when the person with Parkinson's is more mobile and independent means that the caregiver's job is easier, it's more efficient, and the quality of life for both parties improves. So we think that the goal to get it on time is mutually beneficial. So what can you do? Use the Get It On Time stickers on a patient's file, in their care plan, anywhere that you can put them to help remind staff of the importance of medication timing. You can talk to people who aren't here or haven't seen the video about the importance of medication timing. Think about using a pill timer or alarm held by staff or by the patient. A big thing is that I realize that there is currently an acceptable window for medication delivery and that your facility needs some flexibility to keep things running smoothly. However, it's crucial with Parkinson's that we pay conscious attention to reducing this window because their window for good symptom control is a lot smaller. Also, consider patient self-administration of medication. This is a larger conversation than our time allows for. I'll just say that the benefits for those residents who are physically and cognitively able are numerous. They know their own condition, it saves staff time and energy, and it helps them maintain their independence. The recently amended Long-Term Care Act does allow for this under certain situations. The most important piece is that medication should never be taken from a person with Parkinson's without an individualized care plan to ensure their delivery. and self-administration is therefore particularly valuable when avoiding gaps upon admittance or when waiting for appointments. I'd now like to show you a video that shows that there can be a positive outcome.
My name is Jean Keary. I got involved with Parkinson's Society Canada when my husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 1994. Getting medication on time for my husband when he was in hospital was very important to us. And we've had several incidents at our local hospital. In 2007, when he was in, it was a fight to get the medication on time. There were incidents of staff crushing the controlled release medication. They were given them late, and so it was a constant battle. Then in 2009, I believe it was, he was readmitted. With the change in attitude, the staff were much more aware of the need to give it on time, and so he was able to mobilize better. He was able to participate in the exercise that they did on the rehab, but the actual overall care was what was important.
I include this clip to show you that there can be positive outcomes. As Jean just said, the hospital completely changed the way that they look at Parkinson's from the top down, and this led to better health outcomes for Charles. We know that if it can work at this facility, it can be adapted to work anywhere. Now, I'd like to close with some helpful hints for daily care of people living with Parkinson's.